Hi everybody, this is Andrei from Devta Audio, and I'm just enjoying this wonderful synth, which is a Casio FZ-1. And today I will be mainly speaking about the hardware of this instrument and the hardware upgrades specifically. It's 2026, and there are a bunch of things that you can improve in this instrument, including with my own development. So that's what we are going to focus today and see what options we have for upgrades. First, just something about the Casio FZ-1 or FZ-10M, which is a module version of this, and even more rare, the FZ-20M, which is the same as FZ-10 with additional hard disk support. So these things are unique. Casio calls it sampling keyboard, sampling synthesizer, because it's not just a sampler. Of course, it's 8-voice sampler with 1 or 2 megabyte of sample memory. And with 8 voices, and every voice has a filter. And what makes this machine really unique is the filter circuit. It's a custom chip filter with the digital control. And one of the problems why there are not that many of the synthesizers today in the market, that several years ago, and we can blame Eurorack guys, of course, but several years ago, maybe 10 or 12 years ago, there was a company that started making the Eurorack module, which is based on that particular chip. And in order to get the supply of these chips that you could not buy, of course, there are many machines of these went to a scrap. People took the filter chip out because of its sound and built the Eurorack module. Good for bad? I don't know, you decide, but as a result of that, there are not that many synthesizers of these in the market today. And if you find one, usually it's pretty beaten up and requires some, I would say, improvements, and at least requires some fixes. Today, let's go over the multiple hardware upgrades, as I said, and some of these upgrades are compatible with the Casio FZ-1 and FZ-10 as well. So we will start with something really basic that is common for many synthesizers: replace the floppy drive. So because it's a sampler, it loads samples from somewhere. And the most common choice, of course, loaded from the floppy drives. And today, it's obvious that you go and replace the floppy drive with a floppy emulator and download the thousands of the images available in the internet. And this is what I did here. So this is running off the FlashFloppy emulator, which is the firmware for the inexpensive emulators by Chinese company called Gotek. So basically, you get the Gotek drive and you put the FlashFloppy firmware on it, and then by doing that, you get access to the millions of images support and so on. FlashFloppy is the recent development. Of course, there's original HXC as well that would work here as same as great. If you don't feel comfortable yourself to prepare that emulator or to download the parts or build it and assemble it and prepare the configuration files, there's always someone who is here to help. And one of the most known company in this domain is Chicken Systems, who are selling pre-configured emulator for pretty much every instrument on the planet with a floppy drive. So floppy emulator is the first, of course, choice, and I have installed it here. The main gap of these synthesizers in general is the screen. At the time when it was released, so mid-80s, think about this, the screen, which is sort of like a square screen, graphical screen. It's not just 2 lines of a text, it's a full graphics with a graphics interface on it. Well, sort of like, because it was in 80s. It was like peak of technology. And in order to support that, while the screen itself is relatively small, inside the instrument, the screen assembly is huge. It consists of multiple boards, the flex cables coming in and out, and the screen is just a standard screen with a backlight underneath. And what happens first is that backlight warms out over the time, and so you have to replace it. And many people did that replacement unsuccessfully. And the primary reason for that, because it's such a complicated assembly with the with a rubber transfer lines, and then if you open it, it's so easy to get it messed up, and so the whole screen stops working from that. The great news that several years ago, I think that was like in 2022 during the COVID time, there was a person, his name is Dmitrins, and I think Dmitrins was from one of the Baltic countries, Latvia or Estonia, I don't remember it now. But he started the development of the OLED screen for these instruments, and it's a brand new OLED screen with a custom-made controller to this screen that would allow to interface the new screen to the original hardware without any modifications to the original instrument. So that ended up the OLED project, and unfortunately, Dmitrins just shipped, I don't know, maybe several tens of his screens overall, and then he decided to quit for some personal reasons, and he left all the files from his development available for everybody. And he disappeared pretty much from the public space, so nobody could get any clarification from him, or, I don't know, advice how to assemble it together. So I downloaded these files and I started looking at these, and I ordered PCBs with the assembled microcontroller. And just to show you this is how it looks. So this is the OLED screen, this is the custom microcontroller board that has a microcontroller and some circuitry, and then you have a flat cable going to the to the port that original screen connected to. Problem is that it didn't really explain how to compile firmware, how to put it all together, how to program it on this. So when I first got this, that didn't work. And also it didn't say what exact OLED screens are compatible, because some of them really, at that time, were already not available in the market. And some others had like lead time for the 40 weeks. Anyway, I was able to figure this out, shared it with the community in a Facebook group, and I ordered several of these boards, and I let others to grab these boards at the cost. It's working perfectly, and this is my screen here. It looks just fantastic. It's so sharp. I picked the white on black that makes a really great contrast, and it looks perfect with the instrument. I'm not going to remake this. Well, first of all, because I've seen already other people doing this. I don't feel really, well, let's say comfortable of remaking others' design and just start selling it. Not my thing. But if you have any questions about this, I'm happy to support you. If you are an engineer who knows how to solder things and program other things, certainly happy to support you. Also, I preserved all of the files that I downloaded because, well, you know, when you download it from a forum, they disappear after a few years. So that's all available on the GitHub, and I will post the link. And that GitHub repository, it has the configuration files for the Floppy Emulator. It has all the design files for this one, so you can order the board, you can program the firmware yourself. The challenge here that it was originally designed for the FZ-1, so for FZ-10 and FZ-20 that I also modified and got running with the screen, you'll have to have slightly different the assembly on that end because the pinout is different. The protocol itself for the communication to the screen is exactly the same. So the screen assembly in this machine is huge. In FZ-10 it's smaller, it's more compact, so technology has improved by that time. But the flex cable that was used to connect the screen to the motherboard is different in these cases. So some modifications required. Anyway, screen. Certainly, if you're looking for the Casio FZ-1, consider the screen upgrade. It will cost you probably a lot because not many people figure out that. But as I said, if you have any questions, feel free to ask me. Then for the FZ-1 specifically, when this original instrument was shipped, most of these units were shipped with 1 megabyte of memory. And they all have 1 megabyte memory on the motherboard. The second megabyte, so 2 megabytes is a maximum capacity for these. And for the FZ-10 and FZ-20, they were always shipped with 2 megabytes soldered down. But for FZ-1, the 1 megabyte expansion came on the extra card. So the card goes on the back. So here well, currently I have a blank panel here because mine has already inside it, and then you insert it inside, then you put the panel protection panel here. So basically, this allows you to expand the memory size of the original machines. It doesn't really matter what revision of that, and then you get access to the full 2 megabytes of a capacitor, which is great. That's a lot of space for doing a lot of stuff. Problem is that there are not many of these available in the market. You may be lucky and get FZ-1 with this 2nd megabyte expansion card already, but in most of the cases, they don't have that card. So Casio was doing that card upgrades. There was then later another company that just cloned the Casio design and made their own upgrade. So today's 2026, and last year in December I thought, why not restart the manufacturing of these cards? So, and I started doing that. So I took the original design, no change, and you can get easily the memory from eBay or from other places today for these instruments. And unlike the other 80s memory, that this one uses quite high capacity memory chips, so they get more reliable over the time. And so this is what I'm advertising today. This machine has my card. There are other systems that I'll show you in other videos that also have my cards installed. And so if you need one, you can get one as the bare board, so it's just a PCB. You can get PCB with all the parts but memory, so you will source memory yourself, or you will get pre-soldered PCB with everything but memory. So memory chips are not included, and the main reason for that, well, first of all, you can buy it on eBay. You cannot buy it from the standard distributors. They are no longer in production, of course, and so it's the market of this is really going up and down. So today it's free and almost cheap, almost free, but next moment, it may go off the roof, as we know with memory prices today. Anyway, these expansions available, they are of course only for the FZ-1, because FZ-10 and FZ-20M, they have full memory size from the beginning. Okay, this is not only it. So the number 4 upgrade for these instruments is actually coming to the problem of the moving data back and forth. And yes, of course, Floppy Emulator, that would be the first thing that you would consider. But when you want to put your own samples, the only way to put the data in is doing the MIDI sysx dumps. And well, there are some older software from the mid and late 90s that's available for these, including there's some software that exists for like 20 years that can do sysx dumps of that special format that this synthesizer can accept. But transferring sysx over MIDI takes ages. So if you want to transfer, let's say, 2 megabytes of the data, it would be like 40 minutes transferring that over the MIDI. Likely, Casio thought about this. Think about this. They thought about so many great things in these mid-80s, and they put a special port on the back that is the DB25 port. It looks like LPT parallel port, but it's not LPT parallel port. In fact, it has the parallel bus on it, and that port originally was designed to connect multiple of these synthesizers together, so you can connect one to another, and you can sample dump samples from one machine to another machine in a matter of seconds. So now no longer minutes. Well, it could still, for the complete bank, it could take, let's say, I don't know, a minute or a minute and a half. But that was significantly faster than doing that over the MIDI, and it's faster than saving it to the floppy drive, put the floppy drive to another system, and load it from the floppy drive. So about 30 years ago, in 1996, there was a person, I think his name was John, I need to look at the credits, who developed the DOS software for transferring the data banks over the LPT port. So while this is not the LPT compatible, he was able to figure out the pinout and the protocol and create the program for DOS only that can move the data from a DOS machine to Casio machine. I have this program, it's called FZ-dump, and I was looking at this, and I have many vintage computers here. Interestingly, none of my vintage DOS computers was able to reliably transfer the data back and forth. So something was always happening, and I thought, I should start looking at this program, because there's also a source code available for this, and maybe I will find a way to modify it. So I took it as a retro project. I thought, well, it was written for DOS, why I, rewrite it for Windows and still have it communicating over a parallel port. And so it was really, I wanted to stay on that retro technology without any microcontrollers, without any technology like, I don't know, Raspberry Pico or something like this. No, just take what was back then developed 30 years ago and modify it to get it running for Windows. And I was able to achieve it. So today I can transfer the data back and forth between the Windows machine with LPT port. It doesn't really matter how old or new this machine. It can be Windows 98, it can be Windows XP, it can be later version of Windows that just run on the hardware that has LPT port, and you can move the data. So I'm going to show that in a different video, but to support that, I came up with the idea of this very, very thin and portable. So that was originally a thin client. So the computer that's running the custom operating system, I was able to reinstall operating system and put Windows 98 on this. It has the true LPT port, then it connects to this synthesizer, and then I designed the whole file browser that you can browse over the banks, individual voices, or samples or WAV files, select this, and dumped it directly to the synthesizer. It was quite a nice experiment, actually, because I spent for this, I don't know, maybe a week developing, and I figured out that the original DOS program had some just overall limitations. I think it had some bugs in the way how it did the reverse engineering of a protocol, and I connected this synthesizer to another synthesizer, so I was able to capture the native protocol between these two with a logic analyzer, and based on that, I was able to recreate all of that behavior in my software. Yeah, so that's a great part of that. I make all of that available open source, free of charge for anyone who is willing to try it. You can download it. You can also provide the source code. If you want to modify it, you have to preserve the license, or you have to commit all your contributions back. But you can do anything that you want with this. And this, I think, concludes really the list of the 2026 upgrades for the Casio FZ-1, FZ-10, FZ-20M. And it's such a great synthesizer that I really suggest you to take a look on this. And if you have access to this, maybe it's somewhere in your storage unit, get this and play this again and get so much excitement out of this. All right. Goodbye and see you next time.